Hi, my name is Judy Van Koyman, and you're watching Life Issues. This month's guest is Valerie Giglio. Welcome, Valerie.
Hi, welcome, Judy. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. This is so exciting to have you on. Valerie, what is your professional background?
Sure. I am an attorney in Stoneham now and for the past 20 years. And I focus on criminal defense, and I've done immigration and bankruptcy so far.
All right, so a little bit of everything almost?
I'm now exclusively just a criminal.
Okay.
Appellate
All right,
work.
That's exciting. So that must have some very different cases. Some
Oh, it's really very
criminal,
exciting. It's
yeah.
very interesting, definitely an area that I really enjoy. And you're protecting people's rights and ensuring a fair trial, and that's really the best part of it.
Exactly. Okay, and when did music come into your life?
Well, I first started singing shortly after I could speak, when I was a little child, and I studied singing throughout school when I went to Wakefield High School, and so I also played violin since the age of 9, and I was always interested in music. My mother had an organ. I taught myself how to play, just as you're a kid and you're learning. So I was really interested in music ever since I can remember, and music and dance as well, so performing arts.
Cool, good. And then when did you actually start singing?
Well, when I started singing when I was, when did I take lessons, or when did I actually just start singing in general?
When you started lessons and then started singing?
Oh, I actually started studying voice when I was in junior high school. We had choir, and so I became a member of the choir. And then as I got into high school, we actually had private lessons, I believe, and we had choirs. I was in a show choir and a traditional choir. So.
Very nice. Okay. And you've made a couple of CDs. What are they?
Yes. Well, I started furthering my musical education after I graduated from high school. I joined, I was in several bands, so forth, and then I decided that I wanted to make some CDs years down the line. And so the first CD that I did was with the Al Vega Trio. Al Vega was a local legend, jazz legend, and we did a jazz CD together, which I am very, very fortunate that I got that opportunity when he was alive to do that. It means so much to me.
Yeah.
And that's called Songbook. And then I recorded that in 2009. And then I followed it up with an Italian language CD in 2011 called The Italian Project. And so both of those CDs are quite special to me.
Right. Of those three, what is your favorite?
Of 3 songs?
Of the 3 CDs?
Oh, I have two CDs.
Oh, CDs. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
All
great. I love them both. I do love the Italian CD because there is a particular song on there that I really do enjoy singing. It's called Caruso by Lucio Dalla. And then on my on Songbook, there was a song, I Left My Heart in San Francisco, which I recorded from my late uncle, and Autumn Leaves from my grandmother. So those songs are very, very special to me too.
And our audience is going to have the pleasure of hearing your song.
Qui dove il mare luccica e tira forte al vento, su una vecchia terrazza davanti al goffo di Sorrento, un uomo abbraccia una ragazza dopo che aveva pianto, poi si schiarisce la voce e ricomincia il canto. Te voglio bene, sai, tanto, tanto bene sai, è una catena mai che scioglie il sangue in te bene sai. Vide le luci in mezzo al mare, penso alle notti là in America, ma erano solo le lampade, la bianca scia di un'elica. Senti il dolore nella musica, si alzò dal piano forte, ma quando vide la luna uscire dalla nuvola, sembra più dolce anche la morte. Guarda negli occhi la ragazza, quello che vede come il mare. Poi all'improvviso uscì una lacrima e lui credette di affogare. Te voglio tanto, tanto bene sai, è una catena mai che scioglie il sangue in te bene sai. Così diventa tutto piccolo, anche le notti là in America. Ti volti vedere la tua vita come la scia di un'elica, ma sia la vita che finisce, ma lui non ci pensò poi tanto, anzi si sentiva già felice. Ricomincia il suo canto, te voglio bene sai, ma tanto bene sai, è una catena che scioglie il sangue in te bene sai. Te voglio bene sai, ma tanto, tanto bene sai, è una catena mai che scioglie il sangue in te bene sai.
Your voice. I mean, I just sat there listening to it on my computer, and it just your voice is just so.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
I really appreciate
oh,
that.
No problem, no problem. And why is music so important to you?
Well, music is part of who I am. It's in part of it's ingrained in my soul, you could say. And music has been a way for me to express myself. And actually, music played an integral role in my recovery from a stroke a few years back. So music has been the guiding force of my life. So.
And speaking of which, in 2014, you had a very serious life-changing event happen to you.
Yes.
Can you please tell us what that was?
Sure. I actually I turned my neck the wrong way one morning as I was getting ready for court, and I broke both arteries leading to my brain, I walked around like that for a few days, and a blood clot developed, and I had a brainstem stroke a few days after this, after I broke the arteries. And I was completely paralyzed on my left side, seeing double, violently dizzy. I lost my singing voice and my ability to sing. And I lost my ability to walk and use my left hand, and so it was complete paralysis on the left side.
Wow. And can you tell us what the signs of a stroke are?
Well, sure. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I've done volunteer work for the American Heart Stroke Association, and so there's an acronym that is commonly used in stroke awareness. It's FAST, F-A-S-T. The F stands for facial drooping. The A stands for arm weakness. The S would be speech difficulty, and T would stand for the time is of the essence to call 911 and get to the hospital immediately. So those four, those easy to remember acronym, if you suspect somebody may be having a stroke, you check for those things and make sure that they get the treatment immediately.
Okay. And how long were you in the hospital?
Well, I was in Mass General for about, I was first in for a couple of weeks, and then I was in Spalding Rehab for almost 2 months. So it was then outpatient in Spalding Rehab for approximately 1 year, while I learned how to walk and use my hand and so forth.
Yeah, Mass General's an awesome hospital.
Oh, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And Spalding Rehab, I cannot say enough about Spalding.
Yeah, I've heard good things about them too. Yeah. What was your day-to-day schedule like when you were in rehab?
Sure. The day-to-day schedule started with 3 therapies. We would have physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy in the morning, followed by an occupational therapy group class, which was really a lot of fun. I got to meet and socialize with the other patients, and it was a stroke unit, so everyone in my class had suffered a stroke as well in that little group class. And then after lunch was a recreational therapy. Maybe I had music therapy. Some occasions a music therapist did come into my room, and we had wonderful sessions, and it was really, they work you very hard at Spalding, but it is to your benefit because they don't mess around over there. They really want to get you the therapies immediately. So, you don't have to worry about coming to Spalding and waiting, languishing in a bed. They just get you going, moving, and getting back what you lost in the stroke.
Right, yeah. And how long did it take for you to recover?
Well, the bulk of my recovery happened within a year. I taught myself how to sing again with the help of Vicki Vox, my vocal coach, and the help of Mass General Voice Center, which they've helped Julie Andrews and Adele and other famous singers. So they really are in demand, and they really took between my voice coach and Mass General, they really took my voice back to what it was originally, and now I'm going to Berklee College of Music. So
amazing. Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And in 2016, you wrote a book. Please
Yes.
tell us the name of it.
Sure, it's Singing in My Own Key, A Vocalist's Triumph Over Stroke, and that was published back in 2016.
And why did you want to write it?
Well, there were a lot of reasons why. I first started to think about a book when I was lying in my rehab bed, and I had 2 choices. I could either, just say, okay, well, I'm not going to tell anybody I had a stroke, but people are going to wonder about me. Why am I not at the gig? I mean, I was supposed to be playing at concerts and so forth. Or I can go completely public with it, tell my story, and maybe it might help somebody. I know that my stroke was not as serious relatively speaking, with other people have much more severe deficits than I. I was very, very fortunate that I could recover as quickly as I did. So that wasn't the reason why wasn't to gloat or anything like that. It was because I wanted people to understand from a survivor's viewpoint, and also from a musical standpoint, because here I am a singer, and music was my entire life, and now I'm robbed of that. I'm robbed of the ability to sing, and it was completely foreign, crazy to me that I had a professional voice one day, and literally in the next second, I've got nothing. My voice was reduced to a howl, a scream, unable to. I was off key. I couldn't. It was just ridiculous, and I had to slowly build it step by step. And so the book talks about the whole experience, a little bit of my background, and how music helped me recover. And it's amazing. It's amazing what music can do, the effect on your brain that it has.
I'm sure that you're very inspiring to so many people out there, and that they
thank you.
I'm sure, just in awe over what you've been through. Could you please read a little bit from your book?
Oh, sure. I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
Okay. How about the introduction?
Okay, that's great.
Okay. Life is all about choices, including some with extremely uncertain outcomes. I faced such a choice at 42. Would I spend the rest of my life paralyzed, in a wheelchair, and unable to even feed myself, or would I push my body and mind to the furthest limits of possibility and reclaim my life? At 42 years old, I suffered a devastating and life-threatening brainstem stroke that left me paralyzed on my left side, confined me to a wheelchair, caused my world to spin out of control, and stole my singing voice. Until the day of the stroke, I had lived a normal life. I had 2 working arms and legs. I ran up and down stairs, and I did yard work. I wore high heels. I effortlessly did many seemingly inconsequential things and never gave them a second thought. And I did bigger things too. I traveled the world. I had my own law practice. I enjoyed a successful career as a professional vocalist. I released 2 CDs, and I even walked the red carpet at the Grammy Awards twice. I was a novice fencer and played the violin and the melodica. And so I had a great life and a bright future. Surviving that stroke, I learned that nothing is truly impossible. As I lay in a hospital bed, unable to move a muscle and with a dangerous blood clot in my brainstem, I pined for the days I had walked normally. The days I had felt the breeze teasing my hair when I ran, and the softness of the grass beneath my bare feet. I craved a return to the days I had enjoyed the silky glide of my fingers across the piano keys as I effortlessly sang the velvety tones of an Ella Fitzgerald song. It was an unrequited love of these simple things that impelled me and helped me ferociously claw my way from the depths of despair to the light again. Faith gave me the strength to weather the storm. My recovery is proof that miracles happen. This is a story about a stroke that came out of nowhere and threatened a bright future and a great life. But more than that, it's a story of my triumph, achieving almost complete recovery only 1 year later without even so much as a limp. I had reclaimed my life, and along the way, I learned to value every minute of it and to honor my soul's purpose.
Wow.
So,
If anyone would like to purchase the book,
sure. It's on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. It's actually, I believe it's in stock at the Burlington location, but I'm not really too sure. But it is online at Amazon. It's also in audio. I recorded an audio version.
Right, yeah. Why was it so important to narrate the audio part yourself?
Yes, several reasons. First being, when I first suffered the stroke, I could barely speak. And not because I lost my voice. I didn't lose my speaking voice. I lost my singing voice, but I had no stamina. So even having a discussion with you for just maybe a few sentences, I would be unable to do that. I'd feel like I was going to pass out. I'd get dizzy. I'd have to stay in bed for the next 2 days. And so it was so much, it was like climbing Mount Everest to have a conversation. And the fact, I could never speak like this back when this happened.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was able to build my stamina back up to narrate this for 7 hours just meant so much to me, because it was a testament to how far I had come in my own mind. I said, I really, I'm very happy that I was able to get from point A to point B. Secondly, I wanted people to hear the voice of a stroke survivor, because people have preconceived notions that strokes only happen to old people. They only happen to sick people, and I was none of those. And they maybe think that people are walking around like this, or they can't talk. So I want to dispel any rumors about that, what people might think in their mind. And I wanted to give a voice to stroke, and I feel like that was important.
Yeah, very good. You must be so proud of yourself.
Well, I just feel like for me, it's just I'm trying to get back to the level that I was before the stroke, in all aspects of my life as much as I can, and also accepting the parts that maybe I have to tweak a little bit. And I'm obviously, I do pretty much everything that I have done prior to the stroke, and then some. So I played a little bit of guitar before the stroke, and because I cannot, still my hand is a little bit tight, my left hand, it was impossible to make any kind of chords other than one chord. And I said, well, I can't just play a song with one chord. So I said, let me switch sides. So I switched sides in guitar, and now I'm learning. I'm a beginner on this side. It's not that I don't sound great at all, but it's just a beginner, and I'm able to do that and finger my hands freely and make the chords. And I started to play the vibraphone as well, because with the vibraphone I don't have to worry about making chords with my fingers.
Cool, good. And when you were reading the introduction, you mentioned about the Grammys.
Oh yes, that was fun.
You want to tell us about that?
Sure. I've been a member of the Recording Academy, the Grammys, for about 6 years now. And I vote. I'm a voting member. And I've gotten to meet the most amazing people, musicians from all over the world. And it's a community. And we support artists. It's like artists supporting other artists. And so as a benefit of being in the Grammys and being a voter, you get to purchase tickets every year, if you'd like, to the Grammy Awards in Los Angeles, and because it's not open to the public. So I would go almost every year, and I vowed. I said, I've gotten on the red carpet just because. Not because I was never nominated for anything. I just happened. I was very, very lucky, and I was able to get on. And it was quite an experience. And I was able to go 6 months after my stroke. I said that was one of the goals I had. When I was sitting in the hospital bed, I said, well, I really want to go to the Grammys. And people, I know they must have thought I was nuts, because I really wanted to go. That was in January, and I had the stroke in June. And I did it. I did it in a wheelchair, and I had a wheelchair on the red carpet, but I still did it. And it just made me feel, being in that environment and being accepted by my friends in the Grammys did so much for my psyche to make me feel that I was getting myself, I was coming back.
Cool, good. And something that I should have mentioned at the beginning, of course, I'm sure people want to know if you're married or not. You are.
Yes, I am.
And you want to tell us about your husband?
Yes, he's wonderful. His name is Mark, and Mark Sampson, and he he's been there for me throughout this entire ordeal. He's staying in the hospital with me every single night, and throughout rehab. I think he practically lived at the rehab, but he didn't want me to be alone, and he was my caretaker after I got out of the hospital. I mean, he was unable to work as well for a year because he had to take me every day. I either had doctor's appointments, Coumadin, where you have to, when you have a stroke, they put you on blood thinner, and you have to go to a clinic several times a week to get your blood taken. And then my rehab, my outpatient rehab. So between those three things, it was every single day, and I had no license. My license got suspended,
Right.
which I actually, I laughed at myself because I said, well, this must be how my criminal clients feel when their licenses get taken away. So it was interesting.
Yeah. How long have you been married?
10 years.
Nice. Oh, he must be
Yeah.
a very special angel.
Yes.
Helping you out and stuff. Good guy. There's not that many out there, but
Yes.
that's nice. Yeah. Good. Good. And you had mentioned too about volunteering with the American Heart Association.
Yes.
What were you doing as a volunteer?
Sure.
And
I was doing legislative advocacy at the State House. I testified once or twice, I believe it was once, with the American Heart Association, a panel of a few people regarding a bill that they were considering passing at that time. And I also sang the national anthem for the American Heart Walk at the Hat Shell in Boston, which was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I never, in my wildest dreams, would, if somebody were to say to me, you're going to lose your voice completely in a stroke of all things, and then you're going to get it back, and then you're going to sing at the Hat Shell a couple of years after this happens, I would not believe them, you know.
well, miracles
So.
do happen. Yeah.
Yes, they do. They
Yeah.
do, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you'd like our audience to know about anything that we've talked about here?
Well, I think, stroke awareness is very important because I want people to know that a stroke can happen. I don't want to scare people, but a stroke can happen to anyone in any shape of health, of any type of health, and at any age. And it's important to realize the symptoms. For me, it was too late because I thought I just had a neck ache, and by the time it happened, the stroke already had happened, so I have to deal with it. But I did go to the hospital, and again, it was just a neck ache at that point. So, but there are signs to look for, and then I think people should just really live a healthy lifestyle that really goes a long way. And there's a lot that it really can definitely do to improve your health and maintain your health.
Right. Yeah, that's so important nowadays and
Yes.
stuff. So thank you for that information. Valerie, if anyone has any questions about anything that we've talked about here, can you please give us your contact info?
Sure, you could go to my website. It's ValerieGiglio.com. It's just my name.com. And then from there, if anybody would like to send me an email, I'm also on Facebook at Valerie Giglio Music. Then, social media and Instagram, same thing. So.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, but that's all the time that we have. Thank you, Valerie, for sharing your story.
Thank you very much for having me,
Oh,
Judy.
my pleasure again, and helping those that have gone through a stroke also. I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. Please send them to lifeissuestv@gmail.com. And remember, live each day to the fullest and celebrate life.